Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with sales team builder and scaling specialist Kayvon K. He is the mastermind behind sales strategies that don't just work, but revolutionize. He's trained over 30,000 sales professionals and turned a business into a $38 million success in just 18 months. He makes sales exciting, authentic, and above all, highly effective. With over 20 years in sales, he's been at the top, creating big wins and chasing down huge deals, but he has also been at the bottom, facing the harsh reality of being just 3 days away from bankruptcy. We cover his full evolved story. Enjoy.
Well, cool, man. Well, it's great to meet you. Where are you located?
I'm in Vancouver, Canada. Yourself?
Oh, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm in the middle of America.
Nice. Okay, middle America.
Yeah, I always hear it's beautiful up there, so it's great to meet you. I really am looking forward to getting into your world of sales. And to begin that, I want to know, 4 years ago, we were trying to figure this pandemic out. How long is it going to last? How is it going to affect us? How did you ultimately make it through that time period? And how did it change the way that you do things now?
Well, I was fortunate through that time period because that time period just amplified what I was already doing in my business. So in 2015, 16, I already saw this world of the online space happening. And I want to say I predicted something, but I did predict that, and I knew that in like 2020, 21, 22, I just felt that there was going to be this surge of people. Like it was going to be a different world. And I'm going to be very specific when I say that, specifically online, like the online space. So in 2015, I know that I already kind of missed that first ball, but I knew that there was going to be like a second wave coming. I just felt it. So I wanted to jump in now and do that. So in 2015, I jumped in. So then when the pandemic happened, it just kind of amplified what we were already doing. Like people were talking about, I'll meet you on Zoom. And I'm like, I've been working on Zoom since 2015. This isn't new to me. I've been working at home all my life, right? So if anything, it really amplified our business. So we were kind of fortunate on that side.
Let's say I put you in front of a bunch of third grade students at Career Day, and one of the kids is curious and wants to know exactly what you do on a daily basis. How would you answer that child?
I would tell that child that I get to speak to great people every day and help them achieve their goals by buying the right service or product that will allow them to become better in their lives.
So when you were in the third grade, what was your dream? What did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a superstar. I wanted to be a rock star, whether that was like an athlete or or really like a rock star. I just wanted to be seen. I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be heard. I wanted to be felt. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to be like the life of the party, the center of attention.
So take me back to where you were born and raised and how this path became your life. Like, what were some of the formational seeds that were planted, and how did you evolve into who you are today?
Yeah, that's the story. So I always tell people my sales career began when I was 6 years old. And the reason I say that is at 6 years old, I was written off by the school system, by the family, by the parents. They said that I wouldn't even get out of I'd be in jail before I graduated. So I came from that kind of the underdog position. And I always had this inner spirit, this inner fight in me, and I knew that I was going to be different. I knew that I was different from all of them. I wasn't the typical, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, or you're going to go work in the factory, because that's really the only job that you had back then, or become a teacher. So my entire life, I was always selling. I was selling myself out of trouble. I was selling myself out of my vision, or I was selling parents or even the kids that I was different. And that kind of inspired, that put me on a different track right away. And from there, I got into the world of sales because I was always just selling. It was the natural thing for me. And then from there, I was lucky to work with the largest pharmaceutical company in the world, become the number one pharmaceutical rep. And I noticed that I was still in school. It was literally the politics of school. And I wasn't going to live a life like that. I couldn't see myself being in a position where I'm working for the corporate man and dealing with all that corporate espionage and politics. So I got online and I looked at my genius. My genius was sales, and I started teaching sales. And next thing you know, we started teaching sales to tens and 20 thousands of sales reps, built a company from zero to 38 million in 18 months, all around, my genius of sales. So I live my genius every day.
So who's been a hero for you? Who's been that inspiration in your life?
The inspiration in my life to do the selling?
To do everything.
Is that a question?
It's between your career and your life, just what has given you that fuel and that motivation to excel and to do good work? Who's been that for you?
I would say it comes from that negative space, and I'm not afraid to say it. It comes from the negative space of this fuel that I have comes from the space of people telling me that I wasn't good enough or that I would never make it. It comes from being in elementary school and all the parents and the principals and the teachers looking down at me and coming from a place of racism and not being good enough. So like my fuel gets, sparked from that, kind of prove it wrong. My inspiration now, I would say, just comes from the idea of what freedom is. So my number one value that I live my life, that I have is freedom. And that's the freedom to have options and the freedom to do what I want when I want, to have the freedom of speech, the freedom of wealth. So every day I just wake up and that's what inspires me, is the thought of what freedom would be and what it looks like when you get there.
So if you could meet one person alive on the planet right now that you find fascinating, who would that be? Who would you love to meet and talk to?
Today, if I can meet one person in life, I would, honest to God, it'd probably be someone like maybe like a Joe Rogan. I would say someone like an Elon Musk, but I'd be honest with you, I wouldn't even know the person to have a conversation with that guy. So I wouldn't get what I needed out of that conversation. So, the first thing it's telling me is Joe Rogan. Someone like a Joe Rogan, the only reason why is because of the wealth of knowledge he has from interviewing so many people that I'm sure he'd have a lot of great things to discuss.
What is that fuel for you every day to get up to do the work that you do? Not only the work that you do at a high caliber, but to also evolve as a human being. What is that gas in your tank?
More. I hate it's the idea that there is more. Like it's comes from a negative place of mediocrity. I refuse to live in a world of mediocrity and be ordinary. I don't believe in being ordinary. I believe in being extraordinary. And so I know every day that I don't move forward, or every day that I settle, or every day I just accept it is what it is the day I start dying, is the day I start going backward. Because the reality is, if I'm not moving forward, my competition is. Everyone else around me is, which in turn means I'm moving 2 steps back. And I'm not, and I don't want to live a life like that. I see so many people that they just settled. They've settled, and they convince themselves that they're happy and convince themselves that, oh, it's great. Like, let me work my Monday to Friday, and I come home and I spend the time I have with my kids, and we enjoy our weekends, but yet I can't go on vacation. I can't live in the house that I really want. I can't drive the car that I really want. I can't experience life with my kids the way I really, really want, but I'm really happy, and we're all healthy, and we should just be satisfied, and that's good. Like, to me, that's jail. Like, to me, that's scary. Like, I would be miserable at living a life like that. So every day, my fuel is, don't live a life like that. My fuel is, what do I got to do to keep moving forward? What do I got to do to be able to impact more people, impact my wife, my kids, give them a life I've never had, and show them the world in a way that I've never been able to see myself, is what kind of inspires me and gives me energy every day to move forward.
What's been a client that you've had that made you grow the most, or somebody that's on that list in some magnanimous way that really stands out for you?
Oh, okay. So the project I'd be working on was the business that the sales connection, my business that I had when we first started. Because my first company, I worked with a partner where I was kind of the number 2 guy, and I was working on the in-house of everything, right? But he was more the CEO, so he led more the vision, and he was kind of the leader. When I created a sales connection, I became the leader, and the growth and the challenges that I had to go through to understand how to actually truly lead. Most people think they can lead until they're actually in the position. And leadership is not an easy thing. It really isn't. When you're trying to inspire, lead an organization, especially when it's starting out, things aren't going its way. Nothing ever does. trying to keep the vision of not just yourself, but of 20, 30, 40 people, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about how to communicate. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn about how you operate. You learn about even the littlest words you use, the words you use. If you use them the wrong tone or the wrong way, how people perceive them and take something you're trying to say one thing and they get the other that's just completely opposite and negative, and how it can be disruptive. So I had to go through a lot of growth as a leader, becoming a leader and leading a team to success. And I'm still going through it. Like I would lie if I said I figured it out and I became this top-notch leader. I'm learning every single day how to lead the team, and every day how to lead myself, and how to become an effective leader to create the $100 million company, which is the goal.
So what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
The best, when you said that, the first thing came to me was when I was 26 years old and I got caught in a lie. A white lie. Like I was supposed to be at one job, but I was at another job, and my boss from the other job drove by and saw me, so he caught me. And I remember getting in the car and literally chasing him down the highway, beeping. He was with his family on vacation. He finally pulled over, and I came out pleading and begging on my knees, like, please don't, I love this job, blah, blah, blah. And I'll never forget what he said. He said, you will never learn this lesson if I let you stay here. It's because I respect you and I like you, Kayvon, and I see that you have great potential. I need to teach you this lesson. And the lesson was, you never lie. And then he went on after talking about, like, how do you sleep at night? You know what I mean? Do you sleep well at night when you're making these white lies up? He's like, the worst part is you forget what lies are, so now you're spending all your time and your energy trying to keep up to them. He's like, what a waste of time. What a waste of energy. And that changed, like, that was one of those things in my life I'll never forget. Like, there's so many people that we fib, especially in sales, right? And I just learned the hard way and know never to do that again. It's not worth it.
So of all of the things that you've done and evolved into in your life and career, what are you the proudest of?
I've been the proudest of that I still never given up. I've had so many, like, as an entrepreneur, people say, like, hey, Tony Robbins' biggest line is, hey, people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 5 years. And as if, like, okay, so what happens in 5 years when you still don't get it, when you still haven't made it, when you still haven't seen your dreams? What happens then? No one talks about that. And for me, what I'm most proud about is just my resilience and my ability to just wake up every day and not give up, just have not thrown in the towel. I refuse to throw in the towel because I live a life well, then what? And what will you do? You throw in the towel and what? You go get a job? You go live a mediocrity life like I was talking about? Oh, my God. Well, what's the point? I'd rather die trying than live and engage love. It goes back to my sports background. I tell people this. They think it's just, I see people who've never played sports and they hear this and they just don't understand it. But the reality is this, is nothing's worse than winning the championship game and walking off that field in knowing you could have done more versus losing the championship game and walking off that field and knowing there's nothing left to give. You left it all out on the field. And I want to go out in my life knowing I left it on the field, everything I had.
So let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into the 18-year-old version of you, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've led, the wisdom you've gained. And what advice would you give that young version of you?
Trust your intuition. Clear out the noise. And believe it is possible.
So everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone around you. But you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
That's a great question. And what's my perception of me, my perception of me, again, kind of goes to the story I was just saying, is someone who doesn't give up, someone who has passion, who's willing to put in the extra effort and will do whatever it takes to win.
So let's say a time machine pulls up in front of your house when we get off the phone, and you can go back in time and see one event in human history. Or you can go into the future. Where are you going to go? What would you love to see?
I would love to see my kids growing up and the impact that I've made in my community and the people around me. Even the impact you may not see, but the impact that you've given just by being your best self, by not giving up, and speaking on stages and speaking dream into existence, and speaking the truth.
Beautiful. Kayvon, if anyone wants to reach out, learn more about what you're doing, any of the good business, where's the best place to go?
Easiest way is Kayvon.com. That's KAYVON.com. And from there, they can see how they can work with me and do business with me, and or see my speaking and podcast that I've done.
Beautiful. Kayvon, this has been wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your insights. Thank you for your story. Best of luck with everything.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, music, and more from around the globe. Our esteemed theme music was composed and produced by the great E.E. Pointer of Kansas City's River Cow Orchestra. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.